Zazel, like Azazel. In the Ottoman, Turkish, Urdu, and Malay, its name is Zuhal, derived from Arabic. In ancient Roman mythology, the god Saturnus, from which the planet takes its name, was the god of the agricultural and harvest sector. The Romans considered Saturnus the equivalent of the Greek god Cronus. The Greeks had made the outermost planet sacred to Cronus, and the Romans followed suit. Ptolemy, a Greek living in Alexandria, observed an opposition of Saturn, which was the basis for the determination of the elements of its orbit. Yeah, and I was wondering if, you guys, did we disconnect? Hopefully we still, we stayed connected here. So, hoping so. I think so. So let me know. Anyone else have the video stop? Hopefully you guys didn't lose video completely, or the video didn't stop. I don't know if it started over or not. So it ended the stream. God damn, dude, this is so annoying. So annoying. But it's cool. I'm not gonna let it bring me down. If you're catching on the part 2 here, guys, picking up from part 1, see the first half of the video. Hopefully it doesn't disconnect anymore. Yeah, I'm back now. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, this will probably be the only video till this weekend, and I'll be doing a private show. My birthday's on Wednesday. Right, so if you want to, wish me happy birthday, you can text me or email me. If you want to donate, that's a good way to show some love. It helps the channel, helps me as well. So I appreciate, all the kindness, or just hit the like, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Beginning on December 17th each year during the festival known as Saturnalia, the Golden Age was to be restored for 7 days. All business stopped and execution and military operations were postponed. Well, thank you. Happy early birthday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. How old do you guys think I am? Does anybody know how old I am in the chat? I would love to hear. I won't disable the comments on this video because I want people to actually be able to say happy birthday if they want to. But I've gotten such terrible comments recently, guys, so I had to disable the last one. He's 14. Happy birthday. Hey, happy birthday. 36. Pretty close. Pretty close. 34, 38. Yeah, 38. I'm 38. 39 on Wednesday. Yes. Rachel knows. Rachel knows. Yeah. 33. Yeah, I'm definitely 33, but eternally 33. The special feature of the festival was freedom given to the slaves, who during this time had first place at the family table and were served by their masters. Kronos was imagined. Think about that too, like how we inverse, reality, guys. Like that's really cool. Like, and you look, December 1717, right? Q, right? Wonder where we get all of this. The Golden Age should be restored for 7 days, right? 7 days is a creation cycle. Okay. So outside of the Saturn bounds is that, that golden age. It's a new creation cycle where we create the dream. All business stopped, right? So there's no more money changers. There's no more, debt. Executions and military operations were postponed. There's no more duality. There's no more division. There's no more war. It was a period of goodwill devoted to banquets and exchange of visits and gifts, right? It's, us exchanging our spiritual love and energies, mutual reciprocal energies. The special feature of the festival is the freedom given to slaves, people that were once under spiritual bondage of the old paradigm, who during this time had first place at the Last Supper, right? The family table. They were able to dine and be free and stand in their sovereign energy and were served by their masters. What they once were held in spiritual bondage to and served as slaves to were now under their dominion. Imagine that. Imagine that kind of reality. Imagine that paradigm. And you see the caduceus here too, right? The triune God, right? The Godhead. Kronos was imagined as a god, serpentine in form with 3 heads, those of a man, a bull, and a lion. right? A man, a bull, and a lion. He and his consort, serpent Ananke, inevitability, circled the primal world egg in their coils and split it apart to form the ordered universe of earth, sea, and sky. Saturn, or Kronos, is depicted carrying a sickle like Father Time. Kronos was confused with, or perhaps consciously identified with, due to the similarity in name, the Titan Kronos already in antiquity. The identification becoming more widespread during the Renaissance, giving rise to the allegory of Father Time. Wielding the harvesting scythe, he was depicted in Greco-Roman mosaics as a man turning the zodiacal wheel. Kronos, however, might also be contrasted in the deity Aeon as eternal time. Kronos is usually portrayed through an old wise man with a long gray beard, such as Father Time. Some of the current English words whose etymological root is Kronos include chronology, chronometer, chronic, anachronism, and chronicle. Kronos was a ruling titan who came to power by castrating his father Uranus. His wife was Rhea. Their offspring were the first of the Olympians. To ensure his safety, Kronos ate each of the children as they were born. Now think about this. Castrating his father Uranus, right? Castrating his father. You are an us. Anus. You're Anus. You are Anus. Right? Anunnakis. You are Anus. Right? Castrating them. Castrating his masculine father Anus, right? Castrating the masculine divinity, God side, right? We just talked about this earlier in the show, how that toxic masculinity or patriarchal aspect we've seen during the Saturnian age, this is where it started, right? Their offspring were the first of the Olympians. Remember Mount Sinai, Mount Hermon, right? All these mounts that we, go to these high places, right, and meet the gods, so to speak. To ensure his safety, Kronos ate each of the children as they were born. This worked until Rhea, unhappy at the loss of her children, tricked Kronos into swallowing a rock instead of Zeus, the living rock, right? And then Zeus, or Jupiter, right, the striped planet, like Jesus, who bore our stripes, the king planet. When he grew up, Zeus would revolt against Kronos and the other Titans, defeat them, and banish them to Tartarus in the underworld. Kronos managed to escape to Italy, where he ruled as Saturn. The period of his rule was said to be a golden age on earth, honored by the feast. Now think about that too, right? These God aspects, these deistic aspects of ourselves, right? When we step into that king energy, right, we flip the world, right? Peter crucified upside down. Christ crucified right side up, right? We have finally put ourselves on the cross, right, and made that transition and flipped the reality right and put the underworld underneath our feet. We are now standing and we have dominion, right, over all things, right, in Christ. So we are in that Christed King anointed energy. Right? We are standing on top of the spiritual principalities, powers, and dominions instead of under their oppression. Right? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, guys. It drives me crazy. It's the internet where I'm at right now, just to be all the way honest with you. So, it's fucking terrible. And for whatever reason, whenever it always cuts off on YouTube. Only YouTube. Don't know why, but, I'm working on it though, guys. So, in Greek mythology, Kronos is a pre-Socratic philosophical work, is said to be the personification of time. He emerged from the primordial chaos. He is often mythologically confused with the Titan Kronos, and he was depicted in Greco-Roman mosaics as a man turning the zodiac wheel. The figure of the Aeon, eternal time, common alternate for the god, actually means time, and alternatively spelled Chronos, transliteration of the Greek Chronos, Latin version, some of the current English words, which show the tie to Kronos, and the attachment to the time are chronology, chronic, and chronicle. No wonder the powers and principalities don't want us to know the truth. Exactly. Remember, we will judge the angels, guys. And that's what that means. Right? We will judge the angels because we will right the scales, flip the balance of that justice, that judgment through our trial, our tribulation, man's tribulation, that trial, right? Facing up with our own karma, healing our own shadow. We will then take those governing energies and we will govern them, right? Having rulership or kingship by becoming that Christ or anointed energy, by swallowing that rock, that cornerstone, right? That foundation, right? And crucifying the lower half upside down like Peter, and the higher Christ right side up. And remember, holding those forks, the folk, right? Poseidon, right? That pitchfork, right? And we step into that kingship. We step into the God of the waters. We become, Lord of the earth, Lord of the waters, Enki or Jupiter. Okay? So we have that. All of us have that within ourselves. It's truly up to us. Right? And then many people believe, I just seen a thing that was talking about Saturn's missing the moon. A lot of people believe that Saturn actually, the reason we worship Saturn and all of that is because Earth was once a satellite of Saturn. Right? I mean, I'll leave that to you whether you believe that or not, or what you think on that. It's totally up to you. Right? But, hey. Saturn, the sixth planet from the sun, the second largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter, is named after the Roman goddess. Saturn, along with Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, are classified as gas giants. And remember, gases, right? These are different forms of plasma, plasmatic manifestations. Whenever we look at the ionization or ionosphere, the auroras that are created, that's from gases rising to the top before it becomes plasma, rains back down, back into its mineral or metal form, becoming meteorites. Together, the four planets are sometimes referred to as Jovian, meaning Jupiter-like. Remember, Job given, Jehovah, right? Jupiter-like planets. Saturn, the average radius is 9 times larger. 9 is completion of the Earth, while the 1/8 the average density of Earth due to the larger volume. Because of Saturn's large mass and resulting gravitation, the conditions on Saturn are extreme if compared to Earth. The interior of Saturn is composed of iron, right? Iron, nickel, and silicon, like Silicon Valley, right? Surrounded by a deep layer of metallic hydrogen, an intermediate layer of liquid hydrogen and liquid helium, and finally outer gaseous layer. And think about that. Hydrogen and helium, what's that remind you of? The sun, right? The sun. Electrical current within the metallic hydrogen layer is thought to give rise to Saturn's planetary magnetic field, which is slightly weaker than Earth's magnetic field and approximately 1/20th the strength of the field around Jupiter, right? And this is how it actually works with everything, right? The electrical current, right, gives rise to the magnetic field. I feel the population was once more enlightened because we have more oxygen in the air. Oxygen makes people feel high and enlightened. I would say that that's probably a good theory. We know that oxygen, the breath of life, is divine in itself, right? God, if you look at the reality of the rulers or a hypothesis of, the archons, right, in the Nag Hammadi, it talks about how the archons actually tried to blow into Adam's nose to make him get up off the ground, right? And it wasn't until the divine breath of God was breathed into our nostrils that we raised up. Right, that raising up is a spiritual elevation and consciousness from that divine breath. Right, oxygen definitely is key and critical. It's what feeds our brain. If you look at people that's been jabbed, tabbed, and slabbed, right, it's their blood oxygen levels that go down. Right, okay, so there's something to that as well. Right, you think you're the oldest here today? Well, that's okay, man. Hey, well, you're still beautiful and young to me, so don't worry about that. Age ain't nothing but a number, right? It's about how you are on the inside and how we take care of ourselves, honestly, I still feel very, very young, and so, Saturn 9 rings, ice particles, smaller amounts of rock, debris, and dust. 62 known moons orbit. 53 are officially named. I wonder if it's 66 actual moons, guys. Like the books in the Bible. Right? Just saying. '52. Those are all beautiful ages. You guys You know what? And how young you feel in your soul, your spirit, that's how young you are. You know what I mean? Don't allow yourselves to be. And I feel like that's what's hard. Women too, like especially, you guys are so, it's got to be hard to be female because how you guys are treated or expected to be treated through the societal, kind of looking glass up if you're not a certain shape or certain hair colors or your lips and all that look a certain way, your nails a certain way. And then at a certain age, instead of people seeing, like wine, right, getting finer with age, more maturity, more wisdom, and beauty and refinement, people look down on, and that's why our world is so fucking upside down, right? We have no respect for elders. We have no respect for youth. We have no respect for the divine union of masculine and feminine and how it has the power of creation, right? Your spirit's sweet 16. I believe that, dude. I believe that, Saturn is a ruling planet of Capricorn and exalted in Libra. And guess what, guys? On the 25th and during the equinox, guys, we're about to see Libra season begin. And I am a Virgo Libra cusp. So I get 2 seasons. It's actually cool, man. You're the third oldest here. In Roman mythology, Saturn's a god of agriculture, founder of civilization and social order and conformity, right? We're stepping out of conformity. The glyph is often seen as a Sith-like, but is primarily known as the crescent below the cross. The crescent below the cross. The crescent below the cross, where Jupiter's glyph is a crescent above the cross. What did I just say? Right? Flipping it upside down like Jupiter, right? Jupiter, right? Jupiter. Right? The crescent above the cross. The higher aspect, Enki, the positive brother, the Christ-like brother above the cross, while Saturn, right? The shadow aspect, Enlil, is the one inverted. The famous rings of the planet Saturn was enclosed and surrounded. If you think about the reflection of the heavens above and that everything is upside down here, that means that Saturn's actually on top and Enlil was the ruling brother in the heavens, right? The reflection of this principle of man's limitation, Saturn takes 29.5 years to orbit the sun, spending about 2.46 years in each sign of the zodiac. Astrologically, Saturn is associated with the principles of limitation, restriction, boundaries, practicality, and reality, crystallizing, and structures. Saturn governs ambition, career, authority, and hierarchy, and conforming social structures. It concerns a person's sense of duty, discipline, and responsibility, and their physical and emotional endurance during hardships. Saturn is also considered to represent the part of a person concerned with long-term planning. According to the 1st century Manilius, Saturn is sad, morose, and cold, and is the greater malefic. According to Claudius Ptolemy, Saturn is lord of the right ear, the spleen, the bladder, the phlegm, and the bones. Saturn symbolized processes and things that were dry and cold, and therefore inimical to life. It governs a melancholic humor. Yeah. Your soul is ancient, and I'm proud to be an old soul. My body's age doesn't matter. Absolutely. My soul is ancient too. I feel like I'm part of the oldest soul, social memory complex or soul on this earth, actually. I feel like you guys are too. I feel like we're part of the same soul. Just to be honest, that's why we gravitate towards each other, because we're pieces of the same body, same soul. Now, Saturn's return. Saturn return in astrology. A phenomenon is described as influencing a person's life development at 27 to 29 or 30-year intervals. These returns coincide with the approximate time it takes the planet Saturn to make one orbit around the sun, 2.5 years. It's believed by astrologers that as Saturn or Satan returns to the degree in its orbit occupied at the time of birth, a person crosses over a major threshold and enters the next stage of life. With the first Saturn return, a person leaves youth behind and enters adulthood. With the second return, maturity, and with the third and usually final return, a person enters wise old age. These periods estimated to occur roughly the ages of 27 to 30, 58 to 60, and 86 to 88, and so on. The first Saturn return is the most significant because it represents the first test of character and the structures a person has built his life upon. According to traditions, should these structures be unsound, or if a person is living out of touch with his true values, the Saturn return will be a time of upheaval and limitations as Saturn forces him to jettison old concepts and worn out patterns of living. It is not uncommon for relationships and jobs to end during this time of life restructuring and reevaluation. But the Saturn return is not all about painful endings. During this time, astrologers note that goals are consolidated and people tend to gain a better vision of where they're going in life. There are added responsibilities and a person may reap the rewards from his hard work. Many major life milestones seem to happen around the ages of 29 to 30, and this is why astrologers believe that a 30th birthday is such a major rite of passage, because it marks a true beginning of adulthood, self-evaluation, independence, ambition, and self-actualization. Right? 33. Enlightenment. You know? And 2.5 years after you turn 30, right? 33. It's one cycle, right, after your return. You've stepped into full adulthood. So think about the astrological premise behind that. And I can tell you in my life, you know, my Saturn return, you know, brought about a lot of my YouTube and spirituality. All of that began after my Saturn return, you know, and my life was in chaos and upheaval, but it made me the person I am today. Now, the planet Saturn represents many archetypes, such as Father Time, the Grim Reaper and his Sith, Kronos, and the Lord of Karma and Teacher, the ruler of limitations, fears, seriousness, responsibilities, burdens, and lessons. While these concepts may come across as negative, Saturn also astrologically rules over civilization, government, structures, harvest, prestige, maturity, discipline, and order. Saturn opposition at approximately age 44, right, and 4, as in fortress, right, foundation. Saturn opposition, when once again the need to create balance and change one's life comes to the 4, right? Forgiveness. You're doing it ahead of time. You're giving before it happens. You're changing your view or perspective on something before, like it never happened. Saturn in your sign brings challenges and learning lessons, a good time for growth, and faces issues by choice or because they must be confronted. Saturn transits and cycles can be considered cycles of achievement and maturity. When Saturn forms a hard aspect to a personal point in our chart, we might feel that everything is slowed down. We encounter delays, frustrations, and pressures, but these times also challenge us to face reality, thereby opening ourselves up to increased wisdom and the freedom that can come with living in truth. Juno, protector and special counselor of the Roman state and queen of the gods. She is the daughter of Saturn and sister, but also the wife of the chief god Jupiter and mother of Juventas, Mars, and Vulcan. As the patron goddess of Rome and the Roman Empire, she was called Regina, or Queen, and together with Jupiter and Minerva was worshipped as a triad on the capital Juno Capitolina in Rome. As a Juno Monet, she who warns. She guarded over the finances of the empire and had a temple on the Arcs, or one of the two Capitoline hills close to the royal mint. She was also worshipped in many other cities where temples were built in her honor. The primary feast of Juno Lucina right? And there's that Lucky, right? This is the wife or daughter or sister of Jupiter. And remember, whenever we think of Venus, right, who used to be in the orbit of Jupiter, right, and was thrown out, this comet planet, right, we see Lucky, right, Lucifer, right, Matronia, and was celebrated on March 1st. On this day, lambs and other cattle were sacrificed to her, right? The sacrificing of the lamb, Christ-like, right? Another festival took place on July 7th, right? 6, 7, 13, and was called Nonne Capuchina, the nuns of the wild fig, right? Under the fig tree. She can be identified with the Greek goddess Hera, and like Hera, Juno was a majestical figure wearing a diadem on the head. The peacock is her symbolic animal. Juno is also the protecting and guardian spirit of the females, and that peacock, right? Thinking about Lucifer being the most beautiful angel. Juno's own warlike aspects among the Romans and apparent in her attire. She often appeared sitting pictured with a peacock, armed and wearing a goat skin cloak. Goat skin cloak, right? Cloaked by the goat. Right, the traditional depiction is this warlike aspect assimilated from the Greek goddess Athena, whose goat skin was called the Aegis. There is a strong possible etymology from Indo-European "you" or vital force as in English "young." Such a derivation would be consistent with a descent from the mother goddess. More immediately, her Etruscan name was Uni, and whether Juno comes from the universe or vice versa, or neither, remains to be settled. The month of June was named after her. Roles in Roman culture. Juno's theology is one of the most complex, disputed issues in Roman religion. Even more than the other major deities, Juno had a large number of significant and diverse epithets, names, and titles representing various aspects and roles of the goddesses, in accordance with their central role as a goddess of marriage. These included Pronuba and Synxia, she who looses the bride's girdle. She who looses the bride's girdle. Think about that, right? The bride and the bridegroom, the Holy Spirit, the divine feminine, loosing the bride's girdle, right? And other epithets of Juno with wide implications are less thematically linked. While her connection with the ideas of vital force, fullness of vital energy, eternal usefulness is now generally acknowledged, the multiplicity and complexity of her personality have given rise to various and sometimes irreconcilable interpretations among modern scholars. Juno is certainly the divine protectress of the community who shows both a sovereign and a fertility character often associated with a military one. She was present in many towns of ancient Italy. Juno was a protector and special counselor of the Roman state. She is a daughter of Saturn and sister, but also the wife. And the chief god Jupiter and the mother Juventus, Mars, and Vulcan. Patron goddess of Rome, she was... hold on. Juno and Jupiter. Let's go down here. The divine couple received from Greece its matrimonial implications, thence bestowing on Jupiter the role of tutelary goddess of marriage, Pronuba. However, the couple itself cannot be reduced to a Greek appor. The association of Juno and Jupiter is the most ancient in Latin theology. So she brings relief. Yes, she does bring relief. Let's see if we can. And we see here myth and science and ancient astronomy. Let's see if we can make this bigger here. Excuse me. All right. You see here the qualities of heroes of history in our minds, the epitome of humans' first finest qualities. And this is where I talk about the archetypical things, and we see this throughout the Bible with biblical names, right? Job, patience, Abraham, loyalty, Jesus, love and forgiveness, Eve, curiosity, Athena, wisdom, which we were just talking about, right? Juno and its connection to Athena. Daedalus, intervention, Odysseus, bravery and resolve, Gilgamesh, bravery and power, Buddha, wisdom, Krishna, love, Moses, leadership, Hercules, strength, Prometheus, courage, Helen, beauty, Solomon, justice, the Good Samaritan, empathy, and some of the darker side, Narcissus, pride, Judas, greed, and Cain, envy. In New Genesis, in the beginning there was neither space nor time as we know them, but a shifting foam of strings and loops as small as anything can be within the foam of all of space, time, and energy mingled in a grand unification. But the foam expanded and cooled. And then there was gravity, and space and time in the universe was created. There was a grand unified force that pulled the universe with a false vacuum endowed with a negative pressure, thus called the universe to expand exceedingly rapidly against gravity. But this state was unstable and did not last, and the true vacuum reappeared. The inflation stopped, and the grand united force was gone forever. In its place were the strong and electro-weak interactions and the enormous energy from the decay of the false vacuum. I don't believe it's a false vacuum. I believe it's negative polarity, right? Negativity, creating, a repulsion or an attraction to matter, or, what we would call darkness, right? Or this false God is what we call the false vacuum, right? The parasitic, vampiric, distorted, that is just lovely. I apologize, guys, for the bad connections here tonight. I definitely apologize for all of that. Hopefully, we're still rocking. We're still good to go. You guys, let me know in the chat if the video started over again. I do apologize. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up before it just continues on, but we're going to talk about final Saturn worship here. But the entire world has been worshiping Saturn for thousands of years. The cult has never stopped. Did it start over, or did it keep? I do apologize so much, guys. I do, man. But we're still present this day. Dubbed the Lord, exchange rings at weddings and put halos on the heads of godly people. Semitic civilizations referred to the god Saturn as El. The supreme deity was represented by a black cube, and we can find instances of the cube across the world. The gods of Elohim are angels or angels, the messengers of God. When witches cast a spell, they put the hexagon, or the 6 on someone. And when chefs deep fry something, they deep six it. It is the elites, Elites, who run the world today. Elite comes from the Israelites, Israelites, who came from, okay, thank you so much. Jeff's buffering a bit. I apologize, guys. I do. I'm so sorry for that, man. I am. I apologize. Hopefully, we can finish the show without being disconnected here. I do apologize, though. And I want to ask everyone to please hit that thumbs up, hit that like for me if you're in the chat and you haven't done that. Make sure you're subscribed and you clicked all on the notifications. Like I said, this is going to be the last month of doing the channel this way. I'm switching to tarot and astrology. Guys, we've had 0 support in September, 0 support. So if you can, donate, support to the channel. I really am trying to, lift the tarot and astrology off the ground. That's why we've had to shift. Just all the negativity, I've been receiving, and just the lack of support, I had to shift, man, to something that I feel is like, it's really crazy, but it's like I'm just trying to do something for passion again, right? I'm passionate about, tarot and astrology, and, it's like, I feel like we've done what we can do on, this end. Everybody, I literally had somebody send me a message the other day, one of the nastiest messages, and it's a person that's watched forever, and they're trying to refer me to somebody else for wisdom. I just think it's hilarious. It's like, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. You're still trying to, tell me, someone else needs to teach me about myself. You know, it's like, why do people not get it? It's always been about you and always been about tapping into you, right? No YouTuber or anything is going to, you know, do that for you. That's got to come from within you. We do this so we can gather and learn and shit. It's not so, you know, people can do it for you. I don't know. It's just fucking crazy, guys. Just crazy. So, and they can be said they're circling the square. Masons constantly referring to the circling the square and squaring the circle. We were talking about squaring our energy just earlier, right? And you see the cube all over the fucking place, right? When you graduate from high school and come out processionally with a black robe, which is black of saffron, the god of the Hebrews, requiring that you wear the square mortarboard on the top of your head. The square mortarboards are, of course, used by the Freemasons for their plaster, so that's why you wear a square mortarboard when you graduate, ultimately becoming an alumni. It also has to do with Freemasonry. It has to do with the control of education in this country. First, you pay out your tuition to get into the university, where they strip you of your intuition and give you an indoctrination. Then you receive Maystars, Masonic degrees, which wearing a Masonic mortarboard, cap, and coat of Saturn black robes to become an alumni or alumni. Graduation means to increment and retard progress. The true meaning of graduation is gradual indoctrination. The Black Stone of Mecca. Buffering. It doesn't look like it's buffering now on my end. So, everybody please make sure to hit that thumbs up if you're in the chat for me. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that if you could do that for me, guys. So, anybody that, you know, can hit that like for me, I definitely appreciate that. Okay. Looks like we're rolling here. All right. Now, the black stone is a Muslim object of reverence, while according to Islamic tradition dates back to the time of Adam and Eve. Many consider it to be Tekite, or the eastern cornerstone, of the Kaaba, or the ancient sacred stone building towards which Muslims pray in the center of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. The stone is roughly 30 centimeters or 12 inches in diameter, 1.5 meters or 5 feet above the ground. When pilgrims circle the Kaaba as part of the Tawaf ritual in the Hajj, many of them try, if possible, to stop and kiss the black stone, emulating a kiss that it received from the Islamic prophet Muhammad. If they cannot reach it, they are to point to it on each of their 7 circuits around the Kaaba. The stone is broken into a number of pieces in the damage which inflicted during the Middle Ages. The pieces are held together by a silver frame, which is fastened with silver nails to the stone. And the black stone of Kaaba or Mecca is called the Arabic Al-Hajar al-Aswad. The word Kaaba or Kaaba means cube. Metaphors in the box, Kabbalah, the tree of life, creation, consciousness, now evolving out of the box into the alchemy of time when matter, white, and antimatter, black, void meet at 0 point. As a cornerstone, we go to Masons, Freemasons, and reality as a Masonic mother or sound program. You guys see the images here? And let's see. Open up a couple of these with the Moloch, Star of David. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see now, and we're doing good. Just buffering a bit. It's been pretty good for the most part. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. All right, here we go here. See if we can, I'm about to close some of this down here. The Black Stone of Mecca. And none of these fucking links are working. Great. Great. Gotta love that, right? Let me close some of this down, guys. The Etruscans. The Etruscan civilization flourished in central Italy between 8th and 3rd century. The culture is renowned in antiquity for rich mineral resources and Mediterranean trading power. Much of the culture and even history was either obliterated or assimilated into that of its conqueror, Rome. Nevertheless, the Etruscan tombs, their contents, and their wall painting, as well as Roman adaptation of certain Etruscan clothing, religious practices, and architecture, are convincing testament to the great prosperity and significant contribution to the Mediterranean culture achieved by Italy's first great civilization. And see how they actually appear, right? Kind of different to what you would, see now, right? Prosperity was based on fertile lands and improved agricultural tools to better exploit it. And you know what? I just really feel like anytime we look at ancient culture and ancient civilization, right, we see that we actually originated from a higher state than what we're even at now. That through the system, this indoctrination has been used to kind of, bring us into the spiritual bondage of the government name and the social security system, The developed in northern culture without a serious break of the preceding Villanovan culture. The Villanovan culture in the earliest Iron Age culture of the central northern Italy gave way to the 7th century increasingly orientalizing culture that was influenced by Greek traders and Magna Graecia, the Hellenic civilization in southern Italy, right? And that's Hellenic, right? Where they sacrificed dogs. This goes back to Dogon and God being dog in reverse and all of that. Another part of Italy, which is the arrival of the Gauls in the Po Valley and the formation of the Roman Republic. The Etruscan history is rooted in layers of mystery. Throughout time, art historians and archaeologists have tried to milk truths of the Etruscan culture from sources plagued by holes and ambiguities. And you see the depictions, right? Man fighting with beast, right? Man fighting with his carnal self, and the different developments of man in a triune fashion. Let me see if I can. You might not know it, but the entire world has been worshiping for Saturn for thousands of years. The cult never stopped, and its rites are still present. To this day, Saturn, dubbed the Lord of the Rings. Since ancient times, sages gazed at the stars, admiring their heavenly glow, attributing them godly powers based on their effect on humans before the Great Flood. Saturn was regarded by all mankind as the supreme god and ruler of the kings. Occult researchers affirm that Saturn ruled the kingdom of Atlantis and became the divine ancestor of all earthly patriarchs and kings. The cult has been perpetuated throughout numerous gods during antiquity. And you see Kronos, Saturn, Dionysus, Hyperion, Atlas, Hercules were all connected with the great Saturnian continent. They were kings that ruled over countries in the western shores of the Mediterranean, right, like the Etruscans, Africa, and Spain. I am Isis, queen of this country. I was instructed by Mercury, or Hermes. No one can destroy the laws of which I have established. I am the eldest daughter of Saturn, most ancient of the gods. And you see here, the resurrected Roman Empire, 9/11, built with the cube. See the dimensions, Freemasonic, right within the cube, the 8 points of time and space. United Nations headquarters, the meditation and prayer room. You see here, Star of Moloch, D-Wave, Gateway. D-Wave, quantum computing, cube symbolism for gateway portals. What started as hell will end on Earth, right? Hellraiser, he's got the cube. Cube power worship and digital world creation for deception, cloning symbolism, projection of digital world they're trying to create, right? Digitaria, Illuminati and Freemasonic symbolism of the black and white, etc. And you see all the symbolism here. Digitaria, cube power from above. Look, all the different cubes. You know, black cube of Mecca, and they circle around it like Saturn's rings. The Borg cube, which represents a cube, passes by Saturn. Star Trek, right? Santa Ana or Satan, right? Manhattan, right? Hatan, Manhattan, right? Australia and Denmark, right? Saturn in Semitic civilizations referred to the god as El, supreme deity. And you see the different depictions. Many esoteric researchers affirm that Israel is a combination of the names of the ancient pagan deities Isis, Ra, and El. The Greeks and Romans also worshipped Saturn as a cruel deity. With the disposing of his father, Saturn became the ruler of the universe. For the untold ages, he reigned with his sister Ops, who also became his wife. It was prophesied that one day Saturn would lose power and one of his children would depose him. To prevent this from happening, each time Ops delivered a child, Saturn would immediately swallow it. When her sixth child, Jupiter or Zeus, was born, Ops had him spirited away to the island of Crete. She then wrapped stone in a swaddling cloth. Her deception was complete when Saturn swallowed it, thinking it was a child. When Jupiter was grown, he secured the job of cupbearer to his father, and, the water, Pisces, right? With a potion that calls him to vomit Jupiter's 5 siblings, Vesta, Hestia, Ceres, Demeter, Juno, Hera, Pluto, Hades, and Neptune, Poseidon. Saturn always has a negative, if not evil, significance in ancient times. It has been called the Great Malefic, which opposed Jupiter, the Greater Benefic. Saturn is esoterically associated with man's limitations, restrictions, death, and decay. His name was Kronos, the ruler of time, being the main factor inevitably leading to the death of mortals. Traditional representations of the Grim Reaper originate from the attribute to the god Saturn, who held the sickle with his slain father. Saturn and Satan. Saturn has also been associated with Satan, and this for numerous reasons. First, many authors argue that the word Satan is derived from the word Saturn. Second, Saturn is associated with the color black as well as Satan. Third, ancients considered Saturn to be the farthest planet from the sun, the latter being associated with the principle of good. And note that Pluto never was considered a planet. Saturn is consequently the celestial body that is the less exposed to the sun's divine light and thus associated with the coldness of the principle of evil. Finally, the greater god Pan, the horned deity, represented Saturn in ancient paganism. The half-man, half-goat creature considered the ancestor of our modern depictions of Satan. Pan was a composite creature, the upper part, with the exception of his horns, being human, the lower part in the form of a goat. The pipes of Pan signify the natural harmony of the spheres, and the god himself is a symbol of Saturn because the planet is enthroned in Capricorn, whose emblem is a goat. Now, Manly P. Hall, Secret Teaching of the Ages. So Pan was depicted with horns due to the fact it represented Saturn, the ruler of the house of Capricorn, which symbol is a goat. Pan was controlling spirit of the lower worlds. He was portrayed roaming through the forest, penis erect, drunk with lascivious, frolicking with nymphs, and piping his way through the wild. We might say he ruled the lower nature of man, its animal side, not unlike Satan. Despite acknowledging the association with evil, secret societies find the veneration of Saturn necessary to obtain illumination. It is the necessary counterpart of the principle of good. Masonic authors could clearly associate Saturn with Satan. Saturn is the opposite to Jupiter. His symbol is a cross above the sign of Luna. He is Satan, or the tempter, or rather the tester, his function. It is to chastise and to tame the unruly passions of the primitive man. And probably the most extreme example of secret society worshipping Saturn's evil principle is Fraternitas Saturn. The occult organization is based in Germany and openly embodies a hidden side of Saturn worship. The Fraternitas Saturni, the Brotherhood of Saturn, has become known to the English readers through fragmentary descriptions which emphasize the sensational, sex-magical aspects of the lodge's work, or else its darker, more satanic side. This is understandable in light of the fact that the Fraternitas Saturni is, or was, the most unabashedly Luciferian organization in the modern Western occult. Revival and its practice of sexual occultism is perhaps the most elaborately detailed of any such laws. The FS represents a unique blend of astrological cosmology, neo-Gnostic demonology, sexual occultism, and Freemasonic organizational principles. The Grand Synthesis was originally the vision of one man, the longtime Grand Master Gregor A. Gregorius, which is definitely a pseudonym, right? The great amount of symbols associated with this obscure deity only emphasize its importance in human history. The advent of monotheistic religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam confined the worship of Saturn to occult circles. As we saw here, the Lord of the Rings is still omnipresent and popular in culture, but only recognized by those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Right? Eyes to see and the ears to hear. You're green because you're a member. So I'm going to stop it there, guys. I feel like tonight, we've actually dove into a lot. We've been going for a while. I'm tired. So I'm going to wrap it up. I will try to do another show after my birthday. Like I said, my birthday's Wednesday, so I'm going to take a couple days off and try to do a video later on this week, a private show this weekend. Hey, consider donating and supporting to the channel. Show some birthday love. Show some support. We haven't gotten any support in September, so hopefully we do. I appreciate it for those who are willing to give and just be generous and kind. I'm grateful for those of you who will or who, I will be starting next month. This will be the start of the tarot and astrology and all of that. So if you want to book a personal tarot reading, they're $50. 513-393-2396 to book your appointment. You'll get it within 24 hours. Personalized video. Or we can do, Discord or Zoom or whatever. Also, soul profiles, $33 a month for the private content. I'm going to keep that going at least for another month. So, yeah. Everybody hit the like, share, subscribe. And please consider donating, supporting. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you all. Remember, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. God bless you all. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Y'all have a wonderful week. And thank you for the happy birthdays and all the love. Peace.
Now coping while fucking dopeless. Let the dope hit breathing slowly. Look, baby, I'll show you hopeless. No that ammo, scarecrow, no shadow. Bloody piano, sold out gallows. My mind so harrowed from tragic backwards trails. Waking up a jam, pop up on my man's nose deep in narcotics. Window shopping for my father's problems. Do you have some options? My hand up from gripping a pistol trigger, finger careless. Heart out to my girl, I know that loving me's a challenge. Garbage what I'm spewing, sluggish how I'm moving. Dope is what I'm choosing. If you ask me how I'm doing, I'm cruising, coasting, losing, dosing, just don't overdo it. Hoping I don't fucking lose it. Rope in hand, I'm tired of missing souls. Another night blacked out, down on the bathroom floor. I ain't gon' back out, I ain't gon' lash out. I guarantee I'll be some more. I
gives us as much suffering as we can endure.
I mean, piles on the shit to see if we'll break? Why?
To test our faith and to make us appreciate the good that we do have.
Now, forgive me for saying so, Reverend, but God is a sick fuck.